Cool. Hello, everybody. Get this stuff out of the way. It's Thursday. It's been an interesting week, to say the least. Some new product launches and a few questions I asked you guys on, I think it was Monday, if you guys had anything you wanted me to talk about. And I thought there was a few interesting things, including one that had to do with music itself that I want to get into here. But I want to know your guys' thoughts on the new Fender line as well, because I'm very curious to see how it's being received amongst at least my audience as well. So I want to start by saying hello to Daniel and to Greg, who are always at the top of these guys. I always appreciate you guys for popping into these. Let's see if I can create a poll. I should have done this beforehand, but I did not. Members only live stream. Oh, it wants me to make you guys pay for this. Start a poll. Okay, what do you think about the new American classic guitars? I know they're classic professionals or professional classics, whatever. Because I've seen a lot of mixed stuff. Look great. Not interested. Overpriced. What's another good option? What do you think? Better than nothing. And I just think it's kind of cool because I don't think... I think they're getting a bad rap for what they are. I think they're fine. I don't think they're great, but I think it's wild, kind of like the expectations that we have from Fender. And it was funny because a lot of people went back to the Jaguar video that I made where I basically kind of attacked Fender a little bit. Not really attacked, but I pointed out the fact that, they don't make a Jaguar. And this was over a year ago. And what made me really laugh is part of me thinks that they absolutely saw that because they took one piece of advice from a comment from Rafa, who is in here too. The top comment that had the most likes on that video was, "I wish they made a production one in Sherwood Green Metallic. That's all we want." And guess what color they made one in? Faded Sherwood Green Metallic. So I thought that was kind of interesting, and that could be just pure coincidence. But at the end of the day here, I don't see any problem with that Jag. It's not what I want, but I don't see any problem with it because it offers a few things. It offers people some semblance of a Jaguar because the switch at the top where the rhythm circuit's supposed to go on a Jag is the strangle. So instead of having the 3 slider switches that you would have, and the third one, the last one, the one that's closest towards the vibrato of the guitar, that's the strangle normally. So they got rid of that. They have a 3-way toggle switch there, which I don't love, but they kept the function of the strangle itself, and they just moved it towards the top. And that's pretty cool. I think that's what they do on the mod shop guitars as well. But yeah, no rhythm circuit, and it is what it is. And the jury's going to remain out on this. There are people that have taken the pickguard off, but they're trying to say, oh, it's going to fit a rhythm circuit 100%. And having firsthand experience with the Johnny Marr, no. It looks like it'll fit in the Johnny Marrs. It doesn't fit in the Johnny Marrs. You got to route the guitars even more. And the same things with the American Professional twos. But I feel like if you're going to go through all that work, like that might not be the guitar you wanted to do it on anyway, because it's more modern. And that's fine. It's fine. It's got a medium jumbo frets, 9.5 radius, and a thin neck, the modern C. So the way I look at it is this. That was the replacement for the Performer line. The Performer line is the entry level. If you look at the Jazzmaster that's been discontinued, that was in the Performer line, not the one that's in it now, in the American Classic Professional ones. The Jazzmaster that used to come in the Performer line had a Stratocaster vibrato on it. Didn't even have the Jazzmaster vibrato. Nobody complained about that because there was a billion other Jazzmasters. If you wanted a traditional thing, you could get that. But my point is, on the American Professional 2 Jazzmasters, rhythm circuit. So I'm not holding my breath. I'm not holding out hope, but there's a possibility when they refresh that line, because it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when they update the American Professionals, whether they want to call them the 3s or if they're just going to rename them. I don't know how long they're going to go with the numbers on the same title lines here, but there's a chance a Jaguar comes with all the modern specs, but with the rhythm circuit, because they did it with the Jazzmaster. So I don't know. I'm fine with it, and it is what it is. It's not something that I'm going to rush out and I'm going to buy. Certainly not so. But I don't think it's as bad as some people are making it out to be. That's just my thoughts about that. So let's see what you guys are saying. You can't justify anything Fender anymore. Almost $3,000 for a Strat. I remember when the tops we were paying for a Strat was $1,500 to $1,800. You should look at PRS guitars. Not only have PRS guitars gotten exponentially more expensive, they've made them worse. In order to be able to make more of them and make them in higher numbers at a faster rate, they've started taking major shortcuts. The CE models are the perfect example of that. The older CE 24s were core models. It's a one-piece neck. It wasn't scarfed. You had a body that had a full core violin carve. It was the same exact body with everything recessed. Like it was proper. No shortcuts whatsoever on those things. And they had the same exact American hardware that you were going to find from the bridge all the way to the tuners as a core model at that time. And they came with hard shell cases. Now look at them. You spend $2,800 up to $3,000 on some of these bolt-on models. You get a gig bag. You're getting import components still. How is a guitar that costs $2,700 coming with the same bridge as a guitar that costs $500? And then you want to make a video, PRS did, about how important hardware is, and you show off like 9 different models of bridges you have, yet your $2,700 CE24 comes with the same bridge as your import CE24. Just a lot of snake oil. So it's not just Fender. I'm not going to stand for the slander. And I'm somebody who's very critical of Fender guitars. But it's not just them. And the thing with Fender is, the hardware's still, like, they kept the level still with the hardware appropriate for the lines. You know what I mean? So I can't, if anything, I can't knock them for that. And if you look at an American Professional too, which is, I think they've gotten exorbitant because they're, for all intents and purposes, they're American standards, what they used to be, if you're not familiar. Just a flagship American guitar. And before that, the tier before, the entry level, which is now these $1,500, $1,600 guitars, depending on the models, the classic professionals. Those were American specials, and those were like $799, like retail price. Those came with gig bags. But the American standards that were $1,000, those came with hard shell cases. The new ones, the American Professional 2s, yeah, they've gotten more expensive. They're still $1,000 less than those PRS guitars. And those come with nice, like legitimate hard shell cases on them and all American spec hardware. So I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear about Fender being too expensive, because PRS is worse, in my opinion, when it comes to the value. The difference is the PRS guitars out of the box get the little things right more often than Fender do. And whether that matters to you as a player, that's going to depend on whether or not you like doing your own work and you have the tools to do your own work. But for me, I'd rather start with better guts and not have to worry about replacing like really important parts of the guitar, because the vibrato is a huge part of the guitar. It's a huge part of the guitar. It's going to play a gigantic role in how the guitar feels, how the vibrato responds when you're actually using it. And yeah, you can argue about sound stuff, but it's just a bad look. It's a bad look. So it's not just Fender. And it's funny because out of the 3 of them, the ones that have remained to be the best deal and kind of provide you the most for your money on a consistent basis in recent times, at least. And this is hilarious thinking about this now, since, I've been around to see quite a few things from these 3 brands, is Gibson. It's easily Gibson. And I just find that amusing. Because Gibson have always been the brand that gets crapped on for being too expensive, not coming with enough. On no planet, like, I think they got rid of the classics, but even like one of those Les Paul Studios, the regular ones, not the sessions. The higher one is called the Session. Like the regular Les Paul Studios, $1,600 gets you a made in America, nitro finished, no different top. So it's not like, oh, it's a completely different thing than a core model. Like a Les Paul Standard in this case. But you're not getting like the binding. Sorry, that's all you're really not getting with one of those. Great pickups, great hardware, nothing to complain about. And that's $1,600. That's cheaper than the cheapest American-made PRS, and that's cheaper than the cheapest American-made Fender sans this new line that just came out. And those set neck guitars are, a little bit harder to make than the bolt-ons. So for me, I think Gibson are doing pretty good. I only own one, but it is what it is. All right. They are expensive, like 600 more pounds than the Performer, but I like the colors. Yeah, that's where they get you. They get you with the colors, don't they? I think they made some strange choices, though. Fire Mist Gold is not one of my favorite colors. I'm sure it has an audience. But when they decided they were going to do maple, right? Because if you look at the Jaguars, you have a maple option and a rosewood option. I'm going to stick to those just to make things simpler. You can only get the rosewood fingerboard with the desert or the Fire Mist Gold, or the faded Sherwood Green. Faded Sherwood Green is fantastic, but custom color people love, Lake Placid Blue. You can only get that with a maple fretboard. So that's not good. That's not good. I think it would have made more sense if they did, like, do you guys remember the Duosonics and how popular those things were? I think what would have been cool is if Fender made the Desert Gold model of the Jaguar have a maple neck, but then give it a gold pickguard. So it's kind of like Big Brother Duosonic. And then you do the two, custom colors that people normally want on offsets, Sherwood Green in this case, and Lake Placid Blue. You have those with the rosewood fingerboards. Then you would have had something pretty cool in my book. But again, it's better than nothing. And I'm not going to knock them too hard for it. These are entry-level guitars. If they had released an American Vintage 2 and it ended up with the same specs as this, we'd be having a very different conversation. But they didn't. So to me, I think they did. I think they did fine. Let me see. 16 volts in. Let's see what you guys are saying so far. 31% say they look great. 50% are not interested. 6% say overpriced. I'm surprised so few people are saying that. And 12% say better than nothing. I like the way you think. Okay. Hey, Dan. I think that they routed for the rhythm circuit, so the option is there, but I'm not buying a lot of money for something that isn't perfect. Yeah, I kind of went over that. I know I'm late to the comments, but just because it's routed for it, or it looks like it's routed for it, doesn't mean it's going to fit, because the Johnny Marr was the same thing. And when I did the rebuild of one that was absolutely mauled, it wasn't even close. It wasn't even close to being able to hold a rhythm circuit. So if they actually use the same exact routing dimensions as they used on the Johnny Marr, it's not going to fit. And I know this from firsthand experience. So we'll have to see. May you jump in off topic. Okay. Hold on, wait. PRS dentists starting to get heated. Yeah, I pissed them off. My problem is I don't even mind PRS guitars. I think PRS make fine instruments. I just think people get so diluted. It's so like, I don't want to use the word, but it's appropriate. It's almost cultish. Like, that guy could do no wrong. He really could do no wrong, and they'll just eat it up, some people. And it's just objective reality, man. And if you call it out, then they get really defensive with it. Yeah, so it is what it is. I don't have a problem with guitars. You got to call a spade a spade. You got to be fair. If I'm going to criticize Fender, I got to criticize other people. You mentioned in one of your videos that your gold American Vintage 65 as a Jazzmaster from 2012-2017 is going to age nicely because of its thin nitro finish. Yeah, I did. Yeah, is there a question with that? I did mention it because it's it's a thin nitro finish. Now, I can grab it, but now I don't know how well the camera's going to pick this up. My arm always rests here with the Jazz Master. It's its natural home for it. That paint is entirely worn off in that one spot. The checking on this guitar has gotten more aggressive. It doesn't have these like crazy like divot hole sorts of aging wear marks that you're gonna find on the newer ones. Oh my god, this is such a beautiful guitar. Yeah, and even where I used to drink, and sometimes on stages you do dumb things. I dunged the thing up. No, it looks freaking amazing. This guitar's been through hell, dude. I think the only real divot I have on this, I used it to open a beer bottle on stage. You can kind of see the claws of it right there. If they just made them like this, if they just made them all like this, I'd have been a happy camper. I'd have been a very happy camper. But you compare that, I don't have one now. Hold on. I don't think I own one anymore. No, I don't. I don't, because I got to give you a spoiler. I sold the American 5061 or 65 Strat. I sold it. It wasn't exactly what I wanted. Somebody else was saying something about that in the chat before. I'm going to hold out because it's not exactly what I wanted. That wasn't exactly what I wanted. That guitar sounds amazing, though. It sounds amazing. When I did that last demo for the Origin one, it didn't do so good. But the actual playing with the Strat was by far the best sounding of all the guitars. The pickups in that guitar are great. The neck on that guitar is great. But the body color wasn't exactly what I wanted. And I don't want just the chipping of this super hard formula of nitro that they use. I much prefer something like what the Jazzmaster came with or what the new Road Warrens come with. But it wasn't meant to be, so I got rid of it. I'm just tired of a model at every $100 price point, way too many models. I get having modern and vintage spaced at different price points, but not every $100. I get it. And I'll tell you this much, man. A lot of people don't really care so much anymore, especially like younger people. They don't care about having an American-made instrument. Now, if you were to take the place of manufacture out of it and you were just looking at an overall product, you compare those Road Warren Venteras that everyone were crying how expensive they were versus the Performers. Now, obviously, we can't do that with the Jag. But the Jazzmaster, the Tele, and the Strat, with those, you're getting a hard shell case. You're getting a way nicer finish because I believe it's a satin finish that comes on the body of those guitars and a satin finish neck versus full-on nitro. Those guitars are going to age nicely. Beautiful necks. Vintage specs. Like I don't know, man, $100 more? I feel like the Road Warren 2 is the way to go, personally. If I was one buying. But you're right. It's just a lot. It's just a lot. But they got to have a lot. They got to have a lot. They don't keep dangling shiny new objects in front of your face. Who are they going to send all these guitars to tell you that they're the best? Well, not me. But who are they? They got to send these stuff to people. You got to stay relevant. And they got to change things up. I would just like to, I wish they never got away from the American standards. Like, that to me was stupid. Because the way that worked, because the American standards were introduced, yeah, right when the Corona factory opened, pretty much. Late 80s, early 1990s. And they ran as just American standards for 20-something years. They didn't change the model. They ended up adding in a few variants of them, so to speak, but you always just had the American standards. Like you had your elites, you had deluxes, and those were a little bit different. But the American standard remained the American standard, and I thought that was so smart because it's so easily identifiable. And some of those came with custom shop pickups in them towards the end. Those were great guitars. And it was easy. It wasn't complicated. Nice to see you live for the first time. Hello. How are you, man? Yeah, I haven't seen you on one of these. You're really impressed by the series in general, but I like it, but that they don't make us pay for the case this time. Yeah, they make you pay for the case. What are you going to do? You got to pay for the case. The only one where it's kind of a pain in the butt with the case is the Jaguar, funny enough. Those are not easy to come by. If you're looking for like a deal on one of those, they're easy if you want to pay full price. And then if you want to buy one from Fender, I think the cheapest one is $200 or $220. Then you got to pay tax and shipping for a case. So at that point, you're going from 1,600 to 1,800, 1,800, just to make sure it has a case. That's a tough one. Hold on, let's see. PRS guitars have no soul for me. I can't substantiate this as it's all subjective, but yeah, not for me. Just don't type that on the gear page. There's this little cheerleader section of the gear page, man, and they have this cult leader. Just stay away from it. Just stay away from it. They'll get like violent with you. But I disagree that they have no soul. It's just people buy PRS guitars thinking they're going to sound like a Gibson or sound like a Fender, and then they're like, well, why does this sound different? Just because it's a PRS. You fool. If you wanted a guitar that was going to sound like a Fender, you should have bought a Fender. If you wanted a guitar that sounded like a Gibson, you should have bought a Gibson. PRS have their own thing. Hey, Steve, how are you doing? Whatever happened to that thing? I never got an email. Steve was in charge of, or he said he was in charge of some sort of streaming thing, where he's going to set up some stuff, and people are going to be streaming. There's going to be like a TV guide. You guys remember a TV guide? Any of you old enough to remember that? Where you get it in the mail and show you what time everything was on? I never got anything back about that. You still doing that? Let me know. Thanks for the heads up on the routing. Yeah, this is how far behind I am on the chat. I talked about it, responded to it, and he gave the heads up all in the time that it took for me to get back to that comment. To be clear, it's all the companies. But to me, when I'm looking for PRS, you're just a PRS fanboy. They're run by accountants. The guy sold his soul, like of the company out horribly a while ago. And people that were like real PRS fans when the company was like grassroots. They're not grassroots anymore. They're just not. And again, I can't stress this enough. I like PRS guitars. I love that you could buy a PRS guitar, whether it's an SE, an S2, a bolt-on, or a core, and 99% of the time out of the box. Actually, I've had bad experience with the electronics on the American-made ones recently. But majority of the time, compared to everybody else, I feel like they do the best job of the big three. But call it what it is. And the majority of the money they make is from Cort. Cort are the ones that are making those. You guys know Cort make over 1 million guitars a year? 1 million. Look up how many Fender make. And then look up how many are made by Cort for Fender. And look how many Cort make. Like the whole thing is just, this whole industry is just so backwards. But it's not every good. And I already just demonstrably proved you wrong with Fender. I proved you wrong. Fender don't cheap out in the places that PRS cheap out now. Because PRS didn't used to. PRS didn't used to cut corners. PRS really just gave you like the best of what they could for that specific model, and that was it. And Paul didn't want to make an SE line. He was on record saying that for years until he got talked into it. Then he realized how much money he could make, and now everything's an SE. So, rose-colored glasses, my friend. Rose-colored glasses. These companies don't owe us anything, so we just have to call it what it is, man. Call it what it is. DGT SE for the win. 600 used at Guitar Center. That's not a bad price. The new one kind of confused me, though. The DGT Standard. I don't know what they're doing with that. That is not an appealing style of finish. I think it would have been cool if they wanted to do like if you did the satin red like they did on like the S2 models, like on the Bella. I think that would look pretty cool. But the way they did it on these guitars, I just thought it was kind of weird. But the gold top, that was the one I like that guitar. That's pretty cool. You hate that Fender is spraying nitro over polyester for the AB2 guitars. I want to get the 66 Jazzmaster, but I think I'm going to go to the partscaster route. Well, a lot of people do go the partscaster route. A lot of people do the partscaster route. It makes a lot of sense. I had to go the partscaster route to build my Mustang. I didn't have a choice. But it's difficult because I know people that build guitars, and even some of the well-renowned people that make the parts, as far as the bodies and stuff like that go, like they haven't been fully reliable as far as net pockets fitting, cavities being drilled correctly, especially the important ones like the bridge cavity, even on guitars like Strats or Tellys. So even that could be a gamble. And then at that point, what are you going to do? It's tough, man. It's tough. And this is all so easy to fix. Fender just go back to making them how they did from 2012 to 2017, but it would never work because people are going to complain that the guitar is aging too fast. I bought a nitro finish and I can't believe it's already weather checking because I took it out to a gig a few times and the temperature difference was blah, blah, blah. You bought a nitro guitar because you wanted it to wear, and when it wears, you're mad about it. But then you'll buy a relic guitar with half the paint missing, and that's fine with you. Make it make sense. Fender can't win. I actually kind of empathize with them in that front. Hey, Dad, how you doing? Hola, muchachos. Hello. How are you? How are things going in Serbia? How are things going in Serbia? You freezing? What's the weather like in Celsius over there right now? Let me know. All right, I'm trying to catch up as fast as I can here. A guitar every $100 is exactly what I wished for when I had little money. That's not the problem, dude. It's too many models, yeah, but the different price points definitely aren't the problem. Please read the second comment regarding your gold Jazzmaster. My point is that it's not pure thin nitro. It is a poly-based. Guitars like that might not be aging that nicely. Your thoughts? I think I just demonstrably proved that that's incorrect because that guitar is aging perfectly. Do you know how the thin skins were made? There's no polysealer. Go look up how the actual thin skins were made. The thin skin guitars. Because that's a thin skin. It's not like an MJT where if you look at it funny, the paint's gonna come off of it. No. There is a base coat. But it's not the same. It's not even, you can't even compare the 2012 to 2017 finishes to what they're doing now or what they did on the American originals. It's not even close. Completely different. And I've had those guitars for long enough to see that they don't age the same way when wear starts to happen or if there's a little bit of a ding. No, it's not good. It's not good. And as to somebody else's point, it was just like you wanted the green Jazzmaster, right? The 66. Yeah, that guitar is so classy looking. That specific one with the blocks, the binding, the matching headstock. It's just the Jazzmasters when they have that, they just look super high end. Same thing with Jags, right? You're gonna spend that much money, and when you do inevitably take some wear on it, it's not gonna look good. It's gonna look really bad. It's just not. So you gotta baby it if you want it to stay that way, because that's I don't know. But no, they do not age the same at all. That's silly. What do I know? I've only had the thing for 10 years. The Indonesian standard threw a massive spanner in the works. Want to be able to go back to the American standard series? Oh, don't even get me started on those guitars. I'll do a video right before I blow the channel up about how the Indonesian guitars have destroyed everything. And it was not the Indonesian people's fault. It was the corporate greed from the people here that did it, from all the major companies. We'll get there, I promise. Yeah, mate. You're still supposed to be happening, but the idea is dormant. Okay. I just didn't know what was going on. I didn't get any more emails. But you're in China. Have fun. Ni hao. Stack some silver. Silver's up. Gold's at all-time highs. Not going to talk about any crypto. I do like crypto, though. Nice to catch a stream. You usually end up watching after the streams. You're very tempted to grab a road worn Strat. I think they look good, man. I think they're pretty cool. I know you guys are into that. But I do want to talk about one thing because there was a question that was asked to me, and I said I was going to answer it. So let me find the exact question on here. Just give me a moment. Okay, and I'm going to read the exact question. I'm going to answer it just to get out of this gear talk for a little bit. Okay. McLaughlin wanted to know, if you had to learn one or two new instrument, what would it be? This is my kind of question. I started as a drummer. I will always consider myself a drummer. I don't even consider myself a guitar player. I'm just a hack. I'm a hack. Total hack guitarist. But I would love to learn how to properly play the piano, like for real. Like I can sit at a piano and I can make noises and semblance of songs. Like I could make it through basic stuff, but like to really learn how to play piano and be an excellent pianist, that would be number one. Number two, that this one was a little bit harder, but I would say the violin. I don't feel like it would be that difficult of a transition comparatively, and I just love the way that classical violin sounds. It's one of the most beautiful things. But piano, like, I feel like if you're a really solid pianist, you're naturally going to get so much better at theory. But just the basis of it, and then just the dexterity that you build in your fingers, and you can just have so much knowledge. And to me, like, I realize how silly this is saying this to an audience of guitar players. A guitar by itself has never in my life produced the same sorts of feelings that I get when I've heard a piano in isolation, like from a great solo piece. It's not even close. In order for a guitar to be able to pull that off, you need a vocal that's really powerful to go along with it. Whereas with the piano, because you just have such a gigantic sonic range naturally built into it. The piano, you can really, I feel like, tell an entire story, have it sound huge, and like just so musical, and just I love the piano. I love the piano. I think it's one of the most important instruments that we have, and yeah, I should have dumped all my money or my time into learning piano instead of learning guitar. Save the guitar for everybody else. Been a drummer that knew how to play piano. That, I wonder how life would have ended up differently if I did that. They would have never done the DGT in the S2. They would have never done it in the S2. Because that would directly hurt their core sales. That would directly hurt their core sales. It's already kind of an unconventional model. I don't think they would ever do that. No poly on the thin skins. Yeah. I remember the bashing about the 50th anniversary Jaguars and Marguars. They aged by looking at them. I had a 50th anniversary Jaguar in Lake Placid Blue. That was one of my favorite Jags I've ever had. And that wasn't the main thing people bitched about that guitar. There were two things that people did not like about the 50th anniversary Jaguar that even to this day they're just going to cry about it. Number one, the pickups were really hot. I think they actually had, I don't think Fender ever fully admitted to this, but I think they had the same pickups in them that came in the Mexican Classic player ones. So they're pretty hot. And people are like, whoa, this doesn't sound like a Jaguar, because they were more aggressive. And then the other thing that people didn't love about those guitars was the location of the vibrato. It was in the modern spot, so it was moved up closer towards the bridge instead of being traditionally where it was. And the reason for that is to improve the break angle. Nonsense. You didn't need to do that. I like that guitar. I had no problems with it. I did not want to sell that guitar. There are a few guitars I never wanted to sell. But life sucks sometimes. Life sucks sometimes. And when you need to raise money and you have a very short amount of time to do it, you have to make some difficult decisions now, don't you? That's what happens when you're a musician. Join in time for your question. There you go. You can listen to Bill Frisell play solo on a telly all day. Yeah, he's good. You have this weird feeling, too, that you wished you played piano before guitar. The piano and the banjo. The banjo's a cool instrument, too. I just think it's too, it's very linear to me, a banjo. Whereas a piano, if you were to become an extremely good pianist, you can fit in anything. Anything. Because you could play classical piano, like just a regular acoustic piano, right? And there's certainly spots where you could do that. If you wanted to translate to different genres, you get like a motif or a phantom. Those are both models of electrical pianos that you can buy. And then you have fun playing synths, making all sorts of different noises. You can literally fit into any genre. And one thing that's really cool, and a trick that I learned like 2010, 2011, I was working on a song, and one of the guys I worked with was classically trained. He plays on Broadway now. He plays guitar on Broadway, but he was listening to the track. It was a really straight up, rock track. Nothing too crazy. And I think it had 1 or 2 time sig changes and 1 key change at the end of the song. Very Bon Jovi-esque, so to speak, right? But he was listening, and he's just like, it sounds a little empty here. He's just like, yeah, are you open to more instrumentation? I said, sure. He's like, what about a piano? And I was just like, this is a rock song. What the hell are you going to do with the piano? And the way he did it was he was playing triads over once the key change happened, because things were like really, really at the peak of the song at that point. Once the key change happened, he added in triads playing the third of the note that was being currently played on the guitar and mirroring it that way. And the way that it ended up just like working, I was like, what the hell was that? Because in my head, it was you were either going to play the root alongside of it for a rock song, or maybe just reinforce the fifth. But he played the third, and it sounded so good. And then we just talked about it for a little bit, and I was like, that's really cool. And so ever since then, I've tried to consider that and think about, not just with piano, but even if you're just doing guitar parts, like instead of just, even if you're playing an inversion, right? If you're playing a C and you want to add in a second part, instead of just playing an inversion of it, or just playing the root note on the big E or an A, whatever, one of the thicker strings. Some people do that to add in a little bit of a body to it. Instead of just approaching it that way, why not approach it in a different way? Why not do a complementary chord, or a different chord within the key that will accent a different feeling that the song is kind of going for? Because you can greatly alter the mood and everything about the song, the feel of it, and the direction that you want the listener to have it go in. And you don't have to change anything about the main line. You could be playing something super simple, like you could be playing a 1-5-6, right? Or a 1-5-6-4, sorry, which is like the most common progression you're ever going to hear on the guitar in general in pop music. It's one of those popular ones. But if while you're doing that, you carefully select other notes to complement each of those, maybe not the 1. Maybe I would do it on the 5, the 6, and the 4, and I would leave the 1 just to do that as it is. But you can alter so much of the feeling of even the most basic chord progression you're ever going to hear in your whole life by just messing around with secondary tones and secondary lines. And that, again, but that all ties together, because that's how I view piano. I view piano as like this incredible instrument that can fit in anywhere, that can always add something to any song in some capacity. You're not limited to one particular sound. You're not like locked into it. And with electric guitar, sure, you're not locked into it, but you can use different amplifiers and whatever. But it's not the same. You can like drastically change it, use the same exact skill set with the piano, and fit into anything. And that is so cool to me. That is so cool to me. So I gave you a long answer there, because as much as I like talking about the gear, I'd much rather talk about interesting stuff like that. I don't make many videos about stuff like that because nobody clicks them, but that's what I like. Okay. So you got a good answer there. You want to learn usable music theory? This dude changed my entire perception. Who? You got to give me a name. Can't just say some dude changed everything and not tell me who it was. All right, I'll wait for you. That's what you love about the keyboard. So versatile. Yeah, the piano is the best. It's the best. And it's way cooler than guitar. I think it is way cooler than guitar. For songwriting, being able to articulate yourself without skill limits on a piano would be incredible. The sky's the limit, but I'm a lazy ass magpie that likes shiny guitars. Yeah, we're on the same boat. Yeah, I'm teaching my kid how to play piano. She's pretty good. She's pretty good. And it's always fun listening to her noodle around. Because I haven't like drill sergeant into her head staying diatonic, and making sure everything is within the scale, so to speak, if you don't know what that means. So I hear her explore, and a lot of the music she listens to that she likes a lot, like she just likes Pokemon music, and it's pretty complicated. There's a lot of key changes, a lot of time signature changes and stuff like that. So she learns it by ear. So she's naturally like figuring out the changes to the songs. But then when she sits by herself and she's like trying to like write her little theme songs, because she creates all these other little universes. They're all basically inspired by Pokemon, right? But yeah, she'll sit and she'll go where somebody who is either trained or, somebody who's just like, I don't know, has a tendency to not think outside the box. She'll go right there without thinking twice about it, because it's just like, there are no rules. Because you can make any of this work if you understand how it works. And by doing that enough, she's naturally figured out like how to resolve back and how to make a note not that doesn't technically fit. And it's really cool. And piano's a great instrument for that now, isn't it? Late arrival, but hope everyone is well. I hope you're well, Ian. How's your record coming along? I know you're working on that. And trust me, I understand the pain of trying to do everything by yourself. It's not a fun way to work on music. Even if you can do it. It's not fun. Because so much of it is collaborative. And think about it like this. That story I was just talking about, I don't know if you're here for it, where I was telling you about the guy who got the track that I thought the track was pretty much done. I just wanted a pretty much straight up rock song, right? He listens to the track, and then he's like, well, yeah, dude, let's do this. He adds in the piano, and suddenly it's just like, oh, I would never have thought to do that. I was happy with the way it sounded, but without that, now I can't hear the song. I literally can't picture that song without that piano part with the minor third triads going on. I can't hear the song without that. It's like become a part of it. And it's because of collaboration that became possible. And doing stuff by yourself, I mean, you can do it. It can be done. Some people have been fantastic at it. It's just not the same. Like the collaborative art of working on somebody like-minded, you get the best results, in my opinion, when you do that. So I'm interested to see how you're doing with that. All right. Everyone likes seeing. There you go. James, how are you? How are the children? They look good, Grandpa. Look good. I could joke around about it, but I feel like the time is already flying by so fast on my end being a dad. Like, I know I'm gonna snap my fingers and I'm gonna be in the same exact position you are. Or the kids are all grown up and getting married. They're having their own kids. Oh man, goes by too fast. Yeah, the record is slowly coming along. Been experimenting with some different things, falling down rabbit holes. Yeah, it's a problem. And trying to collaborate, but definitely struggling for reliable people. That's, as you get older, that becomes extremely difficult. When you're younger, and if any of you are younger and you want to write, do everything you can then. Do as much as you can then. Because people aren't going to be as bogged down by schedules. You think you have it busy now, you don't have it busy now. You don't. Trust me, you don't. Take advantage of that time. Don't waste it. You'll thank me for it one day. Chris Parks. All right, I'm going to go ahead and copy pasta that name so I don't lose it. Got it. I will check him out. Thank you for the recommendation. Almost missed it. Here now anyhow. You almost missed it. You'll catch the last like 5-10 minutes. Appreciate you popping in though, Jerry. You're enjoying what you're creating, but you definitely need to bounce ideas off more folks. And lots of weird demos too, so I've gone a lot weirder and proggier than I planned. It doesn't surprise me. You like that stuff. And it works. But yeah, it just, I don't know. And I think really, this might take me into a much more, I don't know if I want to talk about this today. Not because I'm scared to, because I know if I start talking about this could potentially go on forever. But I feel like it's one of the major problems with this platform and with Guitar YouTube. And I can tell like a mile away who has never actually played in a real band. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah, you could tell from a mile away. And I'm talking about the content creators. They're very easy to spot in an original music band. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but the perspective is just so different. And so much of what you're sold, oh, you're going to be able to get this tone. This guitar is going to be able to do this for you. This amplifier, this. This is going to, the boss or the two notes or whatever, right? This is going to let you play everything perfectly. Very rarely is it discussed how is this going to incorporate with other people. Because it's not going to help you sell anything if you do. How is me buying the brand new American classic professional classic, whatever it is, Telly? How is me buying one of those going to do a damn thing to enhance my band or our songs that we write? How is it going to do that? It's not now, is it? It's not. But me, my tone, my this. Oh, that's the second part of it. Because at the end of the day, these amazing tones that people dial in, that you hear on YouTube, a lot of them, and again, this is why I reference people that I could tell from 80 miles away. You've never played with other people. You've certainly never played with a band. Yet you're advising people on what to buy and talking like you're an authority. Get the fuck out of here. Those sounds, a lot of those sounds, you put other instruments with them, they're just going to get lost entirely. Entirely. They're going to get buried because they're not going to sit with the other instruments because there's just common basics when it comes to how an EQ works. Like if you just look at like a global EQ, if you don't know what I'm talking about here, think of it like a graph, okay? There are different frequencies within this graph. In order for a band and a song to work together, each frequency, you don't want things heavily overlapping with one another. When I listen to these pristine recordings of these amazing guitar tones that sound great in isolation, what I'm hearing too, just from, working in studios and playing with bands and all that, and I'm whatever. Like you have somebody like Pete Thorne, he would be able to harp on this way harder, and rightfully so, right? But what happens is if everything's conflicting with each other, like if you have two things meeting at the same exact frequency point, it's clashing. It's clashing. Good music works together and good mixes come together because there is no clashing. Everything has its space. And it's inevitable that there's going to be some overlap, but you don't want like main frequencies to be fighting with each other, with a bass guitar, with a bass drum. And you get what I'm saying here? And so when I hear these tones in isolation, it's like, oh, this sounds so good. Yeah, maybe if you're just playing by yourself in your bedroom, sure. And there's nothing wrong with that. But, it's like you're being sold all this stuff for the sake of what? For the sake of what? It's just so silly. It's just so silly. I just wish it was a little bit more honest. I'm not cut out for this. Oh, man. Sorry. Told you I was going to rant. I kept it quick, though. Seems yesterday the kids were small and waiting for Santa, and suddenly it's 21st and 25th and wilder. Yeah, grandkids are easier. Yeah, I don't. Oh, grandkids must be easier. Grandkids must be easier. I know they're easier to my dad. He sees my kid 2-3 times a year. He lives in New York. So it's a lot easier. And it's a lot easier to be like, oh, she's an angel. She's perfect. What are you talking about? You must be doing something wrong as a parent. They judge you. What the hell do you know? You're not here every day. And this isn't just like exclusive to me, but it's anyone, When you have kids and, the parents just they're going to always have this sweet spot from what I've seen from my mother, my father, and then other people with their parents and how they treat their kids. Like, the grandkids can do no wrong. It's always going to be your fault. But they don't see the grandkids causing hell. They're just always, the grandkids are always on best behavior because they know that Grammy and Grandpa are going to buy them whatever the hell they want, you know? And as long as they keep the facade up perfectly, it's going to stay that way. Okay. I feel like I missed something important here. There's no objectively better musical instrument, just personal preference. One instrument works better. Guitar is so physical to me. Piano is so cool in a different way. Oh, yeah, I agree. I mean, I think the coolest instrument's the drums. I think drums are way cooler than guitar. Way cooler than guitar. Yeah, being a drummer is freaking great, but it's a lot harder to be a drummer and have fun doing it than it is to be a guitar player for a lot of just logistical reasons. Logistical reasons. People complain like, oh, my Marshall Studio Vintage is too loud. I'm going to go deaf. Yeah. You think that's too loud? Try being a drummer in an apartment with an acoustic kit. Have fun with that. Have fun with that. It's part of the reason why once, my band broke up and I stopped. Well, this was like my first band. And I started to play guitar because I wanted to write, more aggressive music and they wanted to write pop. After that, I realized, because I ended up moving out of the house for the first time, like right afterwards. Playing drums, if you don't have like a house, like forget it. And even if you do have a house, like I have a house now, I'm terrified to set up the real kit. I have it. It just sits. It's so sad. I have this beautiful Japanese Babinga Tama kit, and it's just so loud. Whereas with the guitar, you can play quietly. You can even use a great amplifier. You're never going to bother anybody in the same way that you're going to bother somebody with a drum kit. And as much as I appreciate the electronic drum kit, you want to talk about like not feeling the same when you play through a modeler. It's not. It is so much worse to play an electronic kit for a multitude of reasons than it is to play an acoustic kit. So it's tough. But if it was up to me, I would live in the middle of nowhere and I would just have a gigantic live room. And I would just go and play drums for probably 2-3 hours a day. Mess with the guitar a little bit afterwards. Watch out for resentments. Who's resenting who? I don't know. If I was being resentful, I'm sorry about that. If it was someone else, I missed it. Chat's going pretty quick. Where did I leave off here? Okay. Incorporate with other people. Ding, ding, ding. Yeah, isn't that funny? See, you get it. But you were just talking about jazz guitar, so I know you get it. I know you get it. It's true, though. It's so true. It's just QVC, me, my sound, my sound, my sound. And maybe I think it works because so many people just don't have the desire, the time, or, the whatever. The drive inside of them in some cases. I think it's valid whatever way, but like to play with other people. Maybe they're just always going to be happy to play by themselves. So for them, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. But it explains why I don't like the Johnny Marr Jaguar so much. That thing's a disaster with other instruments. You've severely downgraded a Jaguar and its capabilities and its ability to sit in with a mix by adding series crap that nobody needs. Get out of here. All right. It's all about EQ. I agree. Find an instrument that inspires you, learn to play it, and understand how to use EQ. You'll have a lot less need for a lot less gear. Yeah. This is why I don't make any money. I should tell you guys to buy all this stuff. Buy all of it, by the way. Click the link in the description. Buy something. My kid needs to have a Christmas this year. I hear you on kids. Enjoy Fleetwood Mac is one example of understanding the mix. Yeah, you know who else was really good? Like old Steely Dan records. Have you ever listened to an old Steely Dan record? Not just like how everything is sitting, but the way that those are mastered. Like, the sonic range of everything, and like just how little compression was used. It feels like it's almost like 3D when you listen, because I've had the opportunity to listen to Steely Dan record on mastering speakers in a mastering suite, and it is like, oh my God, what have they done to music? Even if you don't like Steely Dan, like this was like, it was crazy. Like you could reach out and like feel where everything was in the mix. And because everything wasn't just squashed, you felt the dynamics. Like when a buildup was happening, it had a payoff to it. And it was so cool. So cool. But yeah, dynamics and EQ and everyone working together and filling up a different spot. That's what makes a big sound. It's not more gain. It's not more volume. What makes a big sound is filling up the entire spectrum. That's what'll do it for you. My tone is different at different gigs because of acoustics and stage materials. I'm always EQing at each place to get what I want for tone. It's never exactly the same. Yeah. That's how it is. That's exactly how it is. Venues play a huge role in that too, man. The room is a huge difference. And if you don't go out and play, a good way that you can even tell this is just moving your amp. Like if you have like a music room, right? Move it to a different spot in the house. Mic it up, with a room mic, and just listen to the differences in there. It's going to be gigantic, even just doing something like that. You'll notice it. So multiply that times, I don't know, certain factor of a number that I just call it an arbitrary 5, 10, 15, 20, whatever. In a venue, because normally, typically, you're going to have higher ceilings. You're going to be on an elevated stage. It might not be laid out well as far as the actual shape of the room. You have no idea what their acoustics are. It's difficult. It's very difficult. So you do have to be able to know how to dial in, or you got to have an engineer, a front of house engineer that's working at that venue that really knows what they're doing in order for it to work out for you and have you have a great sound at the show. Because you could be dialed in great, but if the front of house guy that doesn't know what he's doing, the audience isn't going to think that it's the best product, because it's probably not going to be the best product. You had a first recording session with your 5-year-old niece the other day. She sang I Added Music, and it's her first song. I fell apart. Yeah, it's powerful. It's powerful. My kid used to sing all the time, and she started around 3. I always had the camera on. Always. Because I knew there would come a day she didn't want to do it. She hates singing now. I could offer anything. And she doesn't like singing. She gets really too shy about it. And I'm like, but you used to sing. She's just like, no. And if I play it for her, she gets like angry. She's like, no, I don't want to see it. I'm embarrassed. But yeah, when they have those no inhibitions, they're not so self-conscious, that really young age, it's really cool. I take advantage of it and enjoy it while you can. Your eldest son was a drummer, bought an electric set, no good. Acoustic, it was loud. Yeah, it's very loud. You piss off everybody with the drums. There's no way of hiding it. There's just no way of getting around it. And I got next door, I believe they have a child that's under 2 years old. I feel awful. And I know, as somebody who had a 2-year-old, that sometimes nap time can be at any given point. I don't want to be the reason that, I screw up your whole day and I wake your kid up when it finally fell asleep and you were about to get your first sleep in 48 hours. It's just tough. You started playing guitar because it was accessible. You could take it anywhere, and it's very likely you'll find guitar somewhere else outside of your home. Yeah, yeah. I started playing guitar just because I wanted to write my own music. Playing guitar's been fun, though. I've got to play at some amazing places all across this here land, even in Mexico. It's been a blast. It's been a blast. And I would have never met my wife. Actually, I would have met her, but I don't think she would have agreed to go out with me or come over to my project studio. And it really was the truth. To work on some songs, because she played ukulele. And if I wasn't a guitar player, and if I didn't have that gold jazz master. Do you think they'll get better with electronic drum sets? Nah, I don't think so. No. You just can't replicate it. You just can't do it. It's the physical material. And I've played like some of these $7,000 drum kits, and yeah, they're certainly better than the one I have, but it's not the same as the real kit. It's It's impossible. You're asking prosthetic parts to do the work of brass, of real skin, of wooden shells, and have it all interact in the natural way. Nah. It's not going to work. Anyway. Corey Wong started as a march drummer. Gotta practice now. Take more care. Have fun whenever you play. You too, man. Good to see you from the Ukraine. Good to see you. All right. Yeah, that was a fun tangent. Let me tell you guys something. When I start to lose track of the time because I'm talking about that sort of thing, I can get really into that. I think it's really cool. Anything that has to do with music. Even if at times it sounds like overly critical. I mean, here's the thing, like, it's just the truth. It's just the truth. But, yeah. I'm just looking at that electronic drum set because I'm having a major problem with it. Oh, you guys can't see it. I set the thing back up. Not going to spin? Hold on, let me loosen it. Yeah, see, it's back up. All right. Problem with that right now. Oh, I'm not tightening it. I'm loosening it. Sorry about that. I'm almost done. There we go. Okay, so the problem I'm having right now with that kit, the hat just spins. Just spins. And the problem with the electronic trigger is if the hat is spinning like that, when it gets to 180 from where you're starting, you hit it, it triggers nothing. So if you're playing a song, you're real time having to spin the thing back around. And I thought at first it was the top mount that goes in and then mounts towards where your actual foot goes. No, it's as tight as it could. I retightened that. And yeah, sometimes this stuff just happens. So I think I'm missing a part. But I've been bummed about that. I wanted to play more drums. I wanted to do a few songs with what's left of the year and some demos and make some real full arrangement stuff. But, I mean, maybe I'll make it work. Maybe I'll just play it all on the ride cymbal. But I'm not programming drums. I'm not doing that. I hate doing that. Okay, let me see the final results of this poll here. All right, we got the same problem we got every week, you guys. You're killing me. Got 37 votes and 11 likes on the video. If you're watching right now, please hit the like button. It helps me out. What do you think about the new American professional classic guitars? 27% say look great. 41% say not interested. 14% say overpriced. 19% say better than nothing. I think they are what they are. They are what they are. And in the spirit, since we were talking so much about recording today, I want to end today's stream by showing you guys something interesting that I saw. Look at this, okay? The Warm Audio Microphone Mystery Box. You can get one of these right now. It's $250. How does this thing work? You could get any of these microphones, but all of them are going to be worth more than the price you pay for the box. Right? How cool is that? And if you're going to build a studio, or, you're looking for something extra to have in your studio, you're probably going to be more specific. But if you were starting from scratch, I think that this would be a lot of fun. So I might do it. And then what I might do is we do the mystery box thing, right? And then whatever we get out of it, I use it in a song for that video. So maybe it doesn't get instantly released. I'd have to actually, make music to do it. But I thought that was cool. I thought that was a cool idea. Somebody asked me if they thought that guitar companies would ever do that and sell guitars that way. And I said the only brand that could pull that off is PRSSE. Because, like I said, they'll buy anything Paul says. They'll buy anything he sells. Good business, man. Good business. Okay. Yeah, but no, the only one I don't want, if I could select one microphone to not get, it would be the Neumann 84 style one. I believe theirs is called the WA84 small diaphragm condenser. A pencil condenser, if you don't know what that is. Because the best usage cases that I would have for one of those would be on an acoustic hi-hat. And as you can see, I do not have an acoustic hi-hat set up. Acoustic guitar, which you get some usage out of. Not good, not great for vocals, and not advisable on a guitar cab. Good for piano overheads. I don't have an acoustic piano. Yeah, that sort of thing. That's the only one I wouldn't want. Everything else, I feel like I could do something really cool with it. And if I were to get one of the 84s, and now that I've put it into the universe, if I do this, that's what I'm going to get. That's what I'm going to get. I know that's what I'm going to get. And you guys will all see the look of disappointment on my face. All right, before I get out of here, I'll answer these last ones here. Why does the word almost seem to apply to everything Fender releases in production these days? So that you'll keep coming back. Because if they gave you exactly what you wanted, guess what? You'd buy your guitar. Maybe you'd stop watching, waiting for the next thing to actually get released correctly, and you play music. Can't have you doing that. We need you to be on the edge of your seat. We need to give you just enough so that you're kind of happy and happy enough to give you your money, but not enough to give you everything that you want. Otherwise, we're not going to have you as a repeat customer. You're not going to follow us on Instagram and see all of our advertisements to get you buy more stuff. And that's bad for business. I think there's some truth in that. I really do. Been wanting a good electronic kit. There's no such thing. Was a drummer for decades. Still have my acoustic kit, but I keep getting guitars and pedals. It's so fundamentally different. The snare drum, you can get to feel pretty good. And even the toms, you can get those to feel pretty good. The cymbals kill it for you, though. I'm telling you, the way the cymbals feel, they're going to kill it for you. And it don't matter what cymbals they are. Some feel way better than others. And we've come a long way from those early, like, the first electronic drum kit I had was one of those, like, it looked like it was from the 1980s Yamaha DTX kits, where they were, like, trapezoid, funny-looking cymbals. Those felt awful. They were awful. But it was better than nothing. These feel better than those. But in what? That 30-year time? It's still not even close to playing a real cymbal. It's just not. It's just not. So, just want a real drum kit. Just want a real drum kit. Rummy, don't apologize. 14 hours. Well, unfortunately, Rummy, I'm going to wrap up, but you can watch from the beginning. I had a lot of fun. If I had to guess, I would say from probably the 35-minute mark onward, where I was talking about gear, where I stopped talking about gear, and I was talking a lot about piano, which led into a conversation about frequencies and how each instrument sits in a certain place in a mix and how important that is, and songwriting stuff. So we had a lot of fun towards that part on the rewatch. Okay, I've had a stereo pair of the Neumann Cam 184s forever. Yeah, those are great. They're out of production, though. They're out of production. Just like the U47s. They're out of production, too. Kind of sad. But Neumann make their money with the cheap stuff. The TLM 103s, stuff like that. That's where they make their money. The entry-level mics that are like, I still think they're like $800. Some of them sound pretty good. They're really good for brass. Yeah, I've heard a few of the 103s on brass. They sound pretty good. And with the right singer, a 103 could sound good. But anyway. Or maybe they get kickbacks on plane tickets to Japan. I wish. Let me tell you something, man. I would love to get a kickback on anything. That would involve the Japan stuff. But the Japan. This whole year it flipped YouTube on my YouTube channel totally on its head. This channel has never gone through such a drastic change, and my outlook has never drastically changed as much as it has in the 5 years that I've done it, as it has since April of this year. You'll have noticed it, I'm sure. But yeah, I don't know if I'll ever go back. which means things have to change. Okay, TLM 103, too much presence, too much air. I'm not the biggest fan of it. People use those on guitar cabs, and I'm not a fan. Not a fan. But on the right brass, I think it sounds pretty good. Again, it just comes down to preamp, style of music that they're playing. But it can work in those circumstances. My whole point with the TLM 103 is just like that's where Neumann make the most of their money, man. Because there's just margins, and they just move so many of those. It's a lot easier for Neumann to do that. And I mean, for people that don't know pro audio, they're just renowned microphone makers. They're like the top of the top. In many instances, they've made some of the best microphones that you've heard on so many of these classic records, and that brand power and that name power means a lot. And the cheapest one they offer is the TLM 103. I think it's like $800. You know what? The price has maybe even gone up since the last time I looked. I don't really shop for those sorts of microphones. But yeah, people just want to be able to say they have a Neumann. You know, just the same way that some people are like, I want to be able to say I have an American Fender. I have an American Gibson. I have a Core PRS. I have one of the UK-made Marshalls before they were all ruined. Same stuff, you know. Brand power means a lot to a lot of people. Your least favorite is the 103, but the others in the TLM line are 170, 193. 193 is pretty cool. I'll give you that one. I don't have much experience with the 170. 193 is pretty cool. All right, go write some songs. I'll turn this off. Thank you all for watching. We're going to help Tyler so that he can go and write some songs. And I recommend you do the same. Or just go practice. Have fun. All right? Tomorrow, I don't know what's going on. I don't know. I haven't been able to play guitar. So, we'll see if I can play today. And we'll go from there. But I want to thank you guys for watching. Thank you, Dale. You're the best. You're always the best. You have one comment every stream, and it's right at the end to say thank you. I appreciate you. See you guys on the next one.